You got a minute?
You must be part of my hangover.
And I hope the wax in your ears didn't stop you from hearing, pal.
I'll remember your face.
I'll try to forget yours.
What about the bartender?
I let him have it over the head with a peanut machine. Run along, darling, before I fracture your spine.
Is that gun loaded? You want to find out? No, I'm happy at just guessing.
You don't have to say anything and you don't have to do anything.
All right, Mr. DeMille, I'm ready for my close-up.
If you're the police, where are your badges?
I don't have to show you any stinking badges.
He's a volunteer and brought me some cake with some custard and a cup of tea.
Nice. So you met a volunteer named Will. So like you have people that come in and they volunteer and they do your job, or like the same thing?
No, because it's like a rehabilitation centre. So they must have volunteers that come in. I don't know whether they volunteer to spend time with the patients because there's a lot of elderly people, or whether they just kind of muck in and help. Maybe it's a mix of everything. Yeah, he brought me a cup of tea and some cake. I didn't have the heart to tell him that I don't really eat cake, so I had to just eat it.
Darling, you better eat the cake.
I just ate it. I couldn't bear.
That's funny. Well, that's good. So you said yesterday was your first day?
No, today.
Oh, today was. Okay, cool. Mm-hmm. And so do you typically, like, will you be working by yourself or you work with other people, or?
I can pretty much do it by myself.
Yeah? Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Like, when do I go on the break? They went, whenever. Well, how do you know I'm not outside the entire time?
Yeah, shit's
and
not
they went, we
done.
don't. Yeah, they just went, we don't. I thought, okay, this is a dangerous game.
Like, so is beer allowed?
Feel like maybe Will might go to the shop for me.
That's funny. Well, that's exciting. That's really cool.
Put it on me trolley and pretend it's sanitizer.
Well, hi, are you guys? So, do you guys? You probably don't, do you? Do you guys have like a? I'm sure we've talked about this in years past, but you guys have a Thanksgiving type holiday over there?
No. We just skip straight to Christmas.
Okay, you just go from Halloween, because you do celebrate Halloween, obviously, and then you skip straight to Christmas. So there's nothing in between. All right.
No.
Yeah. Okay. So do you guys have any sort of like our country was made this day sort of holiday? You don't have any of that? You guys were in existence since the very beginning.
We don't have a like, we've been bossing and bullying everybody since this day kind of day. No.
Okay. Oh, do you watch?
Plus, we do have Sunday dinners though, like every Sunday. So maybe it's like Thanksgiving every week.
Is that just like a family thing?
Yeah. Do you have like roast dinner on a Sunday?
I mean, probably some people do. I don't know. Like, it's not a thing. Like, it's not like observed like everywhere kind of thing.
That's quite a big thing over here. If you don't get Sunday dinner, it's very disappointing.
Yeah, I mean, I would say like 20 years ago, maybe 30 years ago, was more of like a thing for families to get together like on a Sunday, you know, just because, you know, family get-togethers kind of thing. But like maybe like I think it's like more based on religion than anything, because like people on Sundays would go to church and then afterwards they would, you know, either go to lunch or, you know, maybe have family get together afterwards, sort of thing.
See, ours was based on soaps. So all the soaps, so all like of the main TV soaps that were on in the week, all the omnibuses were on Sunday. So you could spend all day catching up or rewatching everything that happened in every soap, while one sad person had to cook all the Sunday dinner. And then by the time they sat down, the last, like the title music, the end credits of the last soap went off.
So it was like Netflix before Netflix.
Pretty much, yeah.
Sunday dinners.
So nobody went out on a Sunday. What are you doing? I'm watching EastEnders. What are you doing?
That's funny. Very cool. Shit, I forgot. I had something very, very important to bring up, and I can't think of what it is now.
I distracted you with Sunday dinner and soap shenanigans.
Yeah, I can't remember what it was. I'm so sad now. And I don't even know why I'm sad, because I can't remember what the fuck it was anyway. So, moving on.
You'll just spring to life in about 2 hours. No,
Yeah, I probably will. I'll just be like, oh yeah, let's record again. No. I must say this. Damn, I don't know what it was. Anyway, you go from Halloween to Thanksgiving, or no Thanksgiving, to Christmas, and then obviously you guys celebrate New Year's, right? Is Valentine's Day a big thing over there?
I don't know, not really.
It's been 20 years. So anyway, I did come up with a drink with ice. You combine the Irish whiskey, the dry vermouth, and the blue curacao and orange bitters. You stir well until chilled. You strain into a chilled cocktail glass, which I think is kind of actually important. I've been paying attention.
Hey, Divine. What you looking at?
The old neighborhood.
There are places that make us who we are.
Save!
I used to play on this street when I was a kid.
Really?
Moments that give us hope.
Do not make her laugh. Where have you been?
Feelings that make us question our beliefs. Fears that trigger our darkest emotions.
It's my daughter's car.
He's got my daughter in there! He's got my daughter in there! Yeah! Oh, God!
A couple seconds on Saturday, she looked at me like she was preparing to never see me again.
You don't think I'd have hurt her, do you?
She isn't hurt, Brendan. She's dead.
I loved her so much.
I know in my soul I contributed to your death, but I don't know how.
I'm gonna find him before the police do. I'm gonna find him and I'm gonna kill him.
You know what I was thinking about? Vampires. Maybe one day you wake up and you forget what it's like to be human. Maybe then it's okay.
You're not making any sense.
Sometimes I think all of this is just a dream, you know?
How about you tell us what really happened Saturday night, Mr. Boyle? And why's your wife acting like she's afraid of you, huh?
Everyone is weak. Everyone but us. You could rule this town.
We bury our sins here.
Run! Run! Dave, run! Run!
We washed them clean.
All right. That was the trailer for tonight's film, Mystic River, 2003 American neo-noir crime drama, directed and co-produced by Clint Eastwood, starring Sean Penn, Tim Robbins, Kevin Bacon, Laurence Fishburne, Marcia Gray Harden, and Laura Linney. It is a stacked cast. It's a really great cast.
It's impressive.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, the screenplay is written by Brian Helgeland. Brian Helgeland, and it was based on a 2001 novel of the same name by Dennis Lehane. It is the first film in which Eastwood was credited as a composer of the score, which I have some thoughts on later. In addition to being a critical and commercial success, Mystic River was also nominated for 6 awards at the 76th Academy Award for Best Picture, Best Director, Best Actor for Sean Penn, Best Adapted Screenplay, Best Supporting Actresses for Harden, and Best Supporting Actor for Tim Robbins. Penn and Robbins both won in their respective categories, making Mystic River the first film to win both awards since Ben-Hur in 1959. That is a huge time leap there. And
it is.
And it was the last until Dallas Buyers Club in 2013, which I have not seen. That's a huge leap. And to be quite honest with you, I almost feel like, I know Sean Penn is like billed as the lead and all that kind of stuff, but I feel like we spend a lot more time with Tim Robbins' character, and I feel like he's more of the lead character than Sean Penn's character, honestly.
Yeah, it all kind of revolves around him, but we spend an awful lot of time with Kevin Bacon's character as well.
Harley, before we get too far into the movie, talking about it, you need to give us your in a nutshell synopsis. And now it's time for Carly's super famous in a nutshell synopsis.
If you give me 1 second, I will get my document back up. Oh, you're going to be quite disappointed with this because I
don't know.
did it a little bit properly.
Oh, you did a proper one.
Kind of, yeah.
This is me like Sean Penn screaming into the microphone. No! Is that my nutshell synopsis? Is that my nutshell synopsis?
There we go. Anyway, I did a harrowing childhood trauma comes back to haunt a trio of friends into adulthood with devastating consequences and a slightly odd ending.
Did you say a tree of friends?
Trio.
Oh, okay. Like a tree of friends.
I mean, there was a lot of trees, but this is a trio.
Yeah, that's so boring. I'm disappointed in you. I'm so disappointed.
Well, when I do it normally, you go, there's not enough information. You've missed a bit.
I never said anything of the sort. I don't know what you're talking about.
I think I've hit the nail on the head.
You definitely did. That's a quality synopsis that would probably be on the back of the video. But yeah, I'm just saying, I expect more from you.
I know, well, I can't really be sarky with it, can I? Because it's so dreary.
Yeah, it's so dark. Yeah, that's a tough one. You can't go Pee-wee's Playhouse with a movie like this.
No, you just got to play it how it is.
Yeah.
And it wasn't even comical. Like, what was it? The man who wasn't there.
Yeah,
it's not even like that realm where you don't care.
Right. Yeah. Yep. It's true. And I think that's really the brilliance of it. It's very down to earth. Yeah, it's just, yeah, I get it. I understand. For the setup of this movie with these three friends, I think Eastwood really did a fantastic job balancing those three lifestyles. And as to where I don't think we get as much with Kevin Bacon in terms of his lifestyle, because we spend so much time with him as a cop, more. He did add in this element with his wife and the phone calls, and it's such a subtle character arc in this film. Like it's almost nothing. Like it's a throwaway conversation here and there where he just answers the phone. There's nothing there. He says a few lines and hangs up, and it happens like 2 or 3 times in the film. And then at the very end, it all comes full circle with another short phone call that lasts, 15 seconds or whatever it is. And it's such a delicate balance of this character arc I really think it's masterful. And I'm not certain if that's solely a part of the screenwriting process or if that's Eastwood's direction and how he, envisioned, the film. But I really thought
I did kind of really want him though to scream at his wife, like, listen, this person that you obviously know because we've been married, I'm investigating their death, love. Get off the phone.
Yeah, but that's the thing about it is that's sort of like the brilliance of this film, right? They have characters do things that are so this is hard to explain, I guess, for me, for my Neanderthal brain, but so like say towards the end of the movie where you have Sean Penn standing in the window and then his wife comes up behind him and gives him this whole line about, oh, you're the king and you could rule this city kind of thing. And our daughters went to sleep comfortably knowing that you'll always take care of them, basically. I was watching the scene and I'm like, who is she saying that? Is she saying this because she believes this, or is she saying this because she knows he needs to hear it to get past what he's done?
Yeah. I was very confused about that because I thought you're a nutcase, love. What? She just had like a completely different character change in that scene. So it makes me think maybe she did adapt to what he needed. Now you've said that.
Well, so that's the thing though, is that like, that's what I think is so delicate about this film is like, I really feel like they're showing the human condition on multiple levels between these sets of characters, you know, because she even goes, before that scene, she's talking about how could a wife ever talk about their husband that way? Why would she do that? Even if he did kill the girl, right? She's like, you don't do that. And it shows like a certain level, like her version of love and loyalty. Right. And then it shows the, it's Dave, right? I think, Dave's, wife's level of love and loyalty on a different level. And then you've got Kevin Bacon's, wife in the same vein. Like, obviously there's something he's done. We don't know what it is, but it's something that he at the end relents to and apologizes for, whatever that might be. Like, I don't think we ever find out. And if we do, I missed it.
I missed it too.
Yeah. So it's like it's a strange MacGuffin that he kind of uses with that. It's something that doesn't really matter. That's between them, you know, but we see the resolution, which is, that's the arc, right? He gives in and apologizes, whatever it is. And this is, and the thing is, like, him and the Laurence Fishburne character, they show, you know, Laurence, like, why aren't you moving on kind of thing. He's like, you know, I still love her, basically. And that's why he answers the phone and just lets her not say anything. And it makes a lot of sense. Like, it's such a great character arc that's so minimalistic, and works just extremely well. But going back to like Penn's wife, Jimmy's wife, I should say, I really feel like that was on purpose. Like, she is so loyal to a fault, and she'll do and say whatever. Like, they really set up like this movie for like some sort of like alternate universe sequel where Sean Penn is like the king of New York kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like, I really feel like that's kind of like how that they were doing it. This is how these kinds of guys get made. You know, it's not just them. It's also that woman behind them kind of thing. And I just thought that was like, I mean, not that I agree with either of their sort of like worlds, but I just really thought it was like kind of masterful how he balanced those pieces of these three different people's lives.
Is this the second time you watched this then?
It is the second time. Yeah. I saw it when it first came out and I didn't really care for it.
I was going to say the same thing. I watched it years ago and I really didn't fully appreciate it. I thought it was slow and I just dipped in and out, and I don't even think I could have told you what happened if you'd have asked me.
Yeah.
And I feel like I did it a bit of a disservice, to be fair, but I think maybe it's one of them films you have to appreciate later, after maybe you've had life experience or something.
Exactly. It's definitely a film where you have to have lived a little bit. Like, this is not a film teenagers are going to go see and be like, wow, that was amazing. No.
For me, like, the fear is, as a parent, like, it feeds into your fear of everything about being a parent.
Yeah.
Doesn't it, literally, through the Sean Penn character, everything that you fear.
Sure. Yeah.
Shown, basically.
Absolutely. Yeah. And you know, there's only like I don't typically like Sean Penn. Like, I just think he's like sort of a one-trick pony. Like, I feel like he's the same in like all the movies that he's in.
Oh, come on. There is nobody else on this planet that does chewing a wasp and holding it in his mouth to make it drown in his own saliva better than Sean Penn.
I haven't got a clue what you're talking about.
Watch his face. You know, people go, oh, he looks like he's chewing a wasp.
No, I've never heard that.
You not heard that expression? Some people, if they have a certain like pout, or if the way that Sean Penn holds his face, basically, when he's looking at you like he's going to headbutt you, kind of holds his mouth in a certain way, and it's the same expression that he has sort of like 85% of the time.
Yeah.
And we would say, oh, he looks like he's chewing a wasp.
Oh, interesting.
He's not looking like he's chewing a wasp. He looks like he's holding it in his mouth and making it drown. That's just another level of intensity that I don't think anybody else can match.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like, in this movie is like I think this movie and U-Turn, I think are the only two films that I really liked him in. And
and even quite a lot of stuff, to be fair.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just not a big fan of him, honestly. But everybody really was great in this. The only point in this film where I thought there's any sort of like amount of overacting was from Penn, and that's when they find his daughter's body and they break into the crime scene and he's just screaming, "Is that my daughter? Is that my?" over and over again. I thought that was just, and maybe that's from the directing, maybe, or maybe it's the editing. They could have cut that down a bit. Like it was just a little too over the top. Like look at me, I'm an actor. And then the bird's eye view, and it was like, oh hey, let me scream into the camera. I don't know.
Maybe if they'd have played it more silent, that would have been more dramatic. Because I think it's impressive that it took probably 90% of the police force
to hold him,
to not even get him to his knees. Like they weren't even getting him on the ground.
Yeah, but I mean that's what I'm saying. Like most of this film feels really, really realistic, and then they have like little scenes like that where it's like he's not a superhuman. You know what I mean? Like two guys can probably. He's not on PCP. Like, you know what I mean? So it's like I feel like sometimes that those things like are a little overtly dramatized, unfortunately. And I don't think it was necessary. I think that
I get what you mean. Yeah.
The story it's already there. Like we already feel for this guy. And then that just sort of like, for me personally, kind of like took me out of it a bit. I'm like, okay, all right. Like you can't be like, okay, calm down, dude. It's just your daughter. She's only dead. You know what I mean? It's not what I'm saying. It's just like it's overtly dramatized visually, like the overhead shots and screaming into the camera and the like 30 people to try to keep him back. It's like, it's very romanticized kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know, that's really the only scene in this entire movie that made me feel that way though. And I'd say that makes it like 99.9% of a kind of a perfect film, really. Because I didn't feel, actually I take that back. There's one other scene that bothers me, but that's
Ooh, which one?
Well, so this particular scene it's not that they did anything wrong per se. It's that I think that the editing should have been switched up a little bit because it just reveals too much too soon. And I understand how that can happen because when you're making a film, you get kind of tunnel vision and it's really hard to step back and see it as the audience would see it. So there is a point in this film in the third act where everything starts to kind of click into place, right? So they've got their couple different threads that the detectives are following. They've got the Dave character that they're looking at, and then they've got the gun that they found in this Just Ray character that's not in the movie, right? So, and then they've got the boyfriend of the girl that's dead that they're also looking at the same time. So the thing is that there's a line in the movie where they say, well, like if we follow the gun, I think that's going to tell us who the killer is, kind of thing, right? So Laurence Fishburne's character like agrees, and they start doing that, and they lay off the Dave character for a bit. But at the same time, then you got Sean Penn and his goons. What is it, the Savage Brothers or something like that?
Yeah.
Then they're pressing on Dave, right? So you got these two parallel stories happening at the same time, which I understand this device because it's obvious that they're playing out one that's real and one that's not. And the audience is like, oh man, he didn't do it. This other kid probably killed him because he's got his father's gun. So I think that they should have trailed more with the Dave story in the editing than the kid. And I think it was reversed. I think they were trailing with the kid. And then when they show the cutaway of him looking for the gun and the holster's empty, it's like you immediately know, okay, it wasn't him. There's two kids on the 911 call. It's his brother and his brother's friend or whatever, or his two brothers. I don't know. I probably missed that. I don't remember if the other two kids were both his brother or if one was the brother and the brother's friend. I don't know.
I think it was the brother and the friend.
Okay. All right. So immediately you know it was them two that did it. And I think that happened just a little too soon. It was just a little too quick before seeing Dave get murdered. I think that those two things should be switched a little bit. So then like, oh, you have Dave murdered. You're like, oh, you feel a little bit of vindication because we all think that he did this. But then you see this other scene. It's like, oh shit, it wasn't him, you know? So I think that was the only other thing that sort of like bothered me. It's nothing that they did inherently wrong. I think it's just sort of like it was their choice and that's how they wanted it to play out. But I think
it did kind of make you feel like the kid thing wasn't serious. Like, I still thought that Dave had done it.
Oh, no kidding. Okay. Interesting.
I still thought that Dave had done it.
Like it's a red herring?
After they'd sort of burst in and the kids were having a fight with the brother, I still thought there was going to be another scene where there'd been a mix-up or something like that, and it actually was Dave.
Mm.
I kind of didn't feel totally satisfied with the kid scenario. Maybe because we'd spent so much time with Dave and they'd spent so much time with setting it up that it is him.
Uh-huh.
When it was like, oh, the two kids did it. It was like, what? Who were they? What? Who?
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like if the kid had actually shot Kevin Bacon, then I might have felt that way.
Yes.
But having not shot him, I think that like it just leaned because Dave's character is so fucked up, you know, that I couldn't see him ever hurting a kid because of what happened to him. And that was inherently the issue with the movie. Like, he's so kind and so good with his son and what happened to him. And he, you know, as a child, I knew there was something more to that. I couldn't remember it from the first time I watched it, but I knew that there was something more to that. And I just couldn't see that happening. Like,
I did suspect it could have been an accident.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't think that he would have intentionally done anything to her. But the way he was going on about the robbery when he was getting mugged and how it was an accident.
Yeah.
I could have foreseen him maybe being startled or getting involved in something, and you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I get that. Yeah, that's definitely a possibility. Yeah. I could totally see that too.
Sort of like losing control, not realizing who it is, and then not knowing because he's not realized, because he's not really in his mind 90% of the time.
Yeah. And that's the thing though, is like, I think Tim Robbins did a fantastic job. And I really feel like
oh my God. Yeah.
He was amazing. It's like, it's one of those movies where I feel like, oh, you know, I did this. It's amazing. I can quit now. You know, it's like that kind of thing. Like, I think he's just so good in this movie.
I mean, I like him generally, but I have to say that's probably the best performance that I think I've seen. I mean, there's probably better ones out there. Don't get me wrong. I'm not a mad fan by any stretch of the imagination, but I have seen an awful lot of stuff he's been in, and I would say personally that's the most impressive that I've ever seen him. And he's not been bad in anything else that I've watched.
No, he's a good actor. No. He's definitely solid. This is just one of those ones where it's like, you know, he just hit the emotional notes like all over the place. Like, there was never a bad moment. With
even
him.
just stuff like his mannerisms as well. Did you notice how he walks?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh,
yeah. All of that, just like he created like a really great character in this movie. And everybody really did. Even Sean Penn, because Sean Penn is much more reserved in this film than a lot of stuff he's in, you know. But he's just so much of a character in my eyes. You know, it's like, it's the same thing as like for me watching like Tom Cruise and something. It's like, oh, it's Tom Cruise, you know, but that's me. I know a lot of people like really celebrate Sean Penn as a great actor and all that, but I'm just not one of them. I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy. I probably am.
I can see why people probably dislike him. When I started watching Sean Penn films, it was stuff like Dead Man Walking and I think it's My Name is Sam or I Am Sam. I can't remember what it's called. It was things like that, like The Game and things like that, where he was either camouflaged and not being Sean Penn, or he wasn't in it enough to focus on the fact that that's Sean Penn.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I've grown up with him from, you know, Ridgemont. What's it called?
What's that one?
I can't think of the name right now.
What's that film he's in with Michael J. Fox? That was the first one I ever watched that Sean Penn was in.
Casualties of War. Yeah, that's a great movie.
Oh my God, he's brilliant in that. I think that was the first or second thing I ever watched him in.
I disagree. I think Sean Penn was Sean Penn in that movie, but I think Michael J. Fox was great in that movie.
He was great. I thought the two of them worked really well together, though, to be fair.
Oh, yeah, because they're like their whole character traits are like night and day. Yeah, no, that was great casting. Yeah. Did you say, it's Chuck E. Cheese?
Chalk and cheese.
What?
Chalk.
Chalk?
Like chalkboard, chalk and cheese. I feel, oh my God, you've not heard that either.
No. I love it. I'm learning two new British things.
I mean, these British sayings like make no sense, but chalk and cheese, two random things.
Just random things, okay.
Just random things. They're like chalk and cheese.
Yeah, all right. I get all right. Chewing on wasps and chalk and cheese. That's so funny. Oh man. Yeah, no, they definitely were opposite. You know, that was a really good film, man. That was a hard one to watch too. But Fast Times at Ridgemont High, that's what it was.
Yes.
Surfer dude, yeah. So, and that was pretty good, but that's how I just see him that way now. I don't know. I don't think he's ever escaped that persona per se, but I don't know. But he definitely plays the father, the grieving father, pretty well in that scene where they're out on the balcony and Dave comes out and sits with him for a while. And then again, when he's walking through town and like sees him sitting on like the steps, oh man, and Tim Robbins is so uncomfortable, you know, just like swaying back and forth. And, I mean, I don't know, because he's.
Oh my God, that scene where I can't remember. Is it Celeste, Dave's wife, tells Sean Penn's character that she thinks that Dave did it? Oh my God,
yeah.
I would not want to be. The look on his face terrifies you to his very soul. Honestly.
Yeah. I don't know. There's a lot of tough scenes like that in this movie, and that's what makes it so dark. There's like really no levity. There's no, and it's that kind of story where I don't think they could have that. It very much feels, it feels a lot like Chinatown in a way, where it's all very, it's just very dark. You know,
dreary.
Yeah, very dreary. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's a tough movie to feel good about afterwards. Like I just got through watching it. Like I watched an hour and a half of it last night, but I didn't want to fall asleep to it, so I got up this morning and watched the rest of it. And I'm like, at the end of this movie, I'm just like, fuck, man. That's like, I just want to go back to bed now. It's like it's a hard watch. Yeah,
it is. But then again, that's the point. I think one of the hardest scenes to watch is the opening.
Yeah, you know, that's
awful.
It is. Yeah.
However, I do have to say this is one of the few times where I've actually seen smart adults reacting to something straight away.
Oh yeah.
That's not right. That's weird.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, which is that's an interesting scene that he included in there, because he could have very well easily cut that out. But
and it's interesting that it's two boys and it's two fathers,
and
they're both hearing this in the same sort of way. This sounds really sexist, and I don't mean it like that, but in a way where a mother would interrogate you, they're doing the same thing and instantly coming to exactly the same conclusion that, say, an overbearing mother would, and going, no, I don't think so.
Yeah.
And I found that really interesting.
Yeah, it's like the whole setup is very male oriented, you know, from the two guys in the street being cops and, you know, all that kind of stuff. So it really fit very well. Like it's a pretty interesting sort of dynamic. You know, I think it would have had a different feel, especially because like we're thinking, I think it sets up those characters like, they probably didn't have a mother, you know. Like they're probably, you know, that's the way that they grew up, and this is partially the reason why their lives took that way, you know, because they made a point of like asking like, Dave, so where do you live? And he's like, a street over or whatever, and he's like, let's go talk to your mother, right? And then you see these other two boys go and they're talking to their dads, and I'm just kind of like, assuming in my head, that they probably don't have moms or they're not there anymore or like, whatever. But I don't know. It's just one of those things that's just like, could be, maybe, who knows?
I think it's so terrifying as well because it's something out of nothing.
Mm-hmm.
They're not doing anything. They're just being mischievous kids. But then when the car pulls up, you think, they're just trying to scare them.
Yeah.
And then you realise, this is a lot darker than what it is on face value.
Yeah.
Which again is how people treat people. So
weren't even doing anything that bad. You know what I mean? Everybody like writes their name in wet concrete at some point, I assume. But I didn't think that even was a huge deal for that. But man, they do a good job scaring those kids, And that whole scene where he's like, get in the car.
If you're that age though, especially in that time period when you could physically put your hands on somebody, so a police officer could physically put their hands on a kid and shove them in the car and take them home and tell parents what they'd done, and they would get in trouble.
Sure. Yeah. I think it would have ran.
So I imagine that would be quite scary, actually, in that situation, if you were suddenly out of nowhere on your road and you think two police officers are going to go and tell your mum that you've been a nuisance because you don't know what they're going to say.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I think I would have ran. I don't get nobody's car.
God, no, you wouldn't now, but...
No, I wouldn't then.
Years and years ago.
I don't think I would. You
wouldn't question a police officer, would you? Would you dare question a police officer as a kid?
Well, no. I don't know. Probably just out of stupidity, not out of like malice. Yeah. I'm not terribly bright. But, there wasn't really that whole stranger danger thing till later in the 80s, though. Like,
that's what I mean. Like, you wouldn't.
A lot of American years went by before, like, there was really any, like, we need to worry about people sort of thing, So that's, I guess that would kind of make sense. Yeah. Did you catch any information about Michael Keaton having been cast in this?
No.
Yeah.
Ooh, who would he have been?
I don't know. I know who it is, but you tell me who you think it could have been.
I'd maybe go. I don't know, actually. Personally, I would have said a safe bet would have been Sean, Kevin Bacon's character, but I would have found it quite interesting for him to play Sean Penn's character. Because Michael Keaton's got a little bit of inner rage, but he's got that charming smile, so he'll slice your face off, but smile while he's doing it.
Yeah. I thought it would have been interesting too if he played Jimmy, but he actually was cast as Sean originally. And let's see, what did it say? He was originally cast in the role of Detective Sean Devon, and did several script readings with the cast as well as his own research into the practices of the Massachusetts Police Department. However, creative differences between Keaton and Eastwood led to Keaton leaving the production, and he was replaced by Kevin Bacon. And I'm thinking to myself, like, what kind of a titan do you have to be to butt heads with Clint Eastwood? I mean, and I'm thinking about, well, this is 2003. So I guess maybe, that was kind of the height of Keaton star power. He did pretty fucking well through the 90s, after Batman. Well, he did great through the 80s too, So this might have been around where he started to kind of dwindle and disappear, because he didn't do a whole hell of a lot through the 2000s. And only started.
Maybe that's because Clint Eastwood went, did you know he's a bit of a pillock?
Could be. There's no telling,
He could probably end somebody's career with one sentence.
Right? Yeah.
I didn't get on so well with him. Done. Ended. Off.
Everybody's just too scared to even press for more information. Okay, let's forget about it. He's no longer an actor.
Yep. Never mind. Forget it. That reset.
Guy, he now works at a gas station. No. Yeah, because he disappeared for 15 years or so before he started really, turning the tides again with I think, what was that?
Birdman? Oh no,
Birdman,
White Noise.
Yeah.
When was White Noise? White Noise was massive for Michael Keaton.
Really?
Was that around this time? It was over here. I don't know if it was over there.
I think that was more 2010-ish, but yeah, White Noise kind of came and went. I personally liked it. I thought it was a good movie, but that was
it was quite big over here. It was it was almost the same kind of buzz as The Sixth Sense.
No kidding.
Yeah. I can't, this sounds really stupid, but I can't remember if it was cinema or if it was DVD. I can't remember if it went absolutely nuts as soon as it went on DVD or whether it was cinema and DVD. I know It was huge when it was on DVD. Like the rentals and stuff, it was, because we still had Blockbuster Video, I think, at that time.
Oh, yeah.
It was off. Like, everybody was talking about White Noise here. Mm-hmm. And it was one of them ones where it's like Marmite. People either absolutely loved it or they absolutely hated it. A bit like the Mothman Prophecy. We had that.
Yeah.
That was the same here. Again, I don't know what it was like over there. But the Mothman Prophecies and White Noise were very, very similar in the fact that people either raved about it or they absolutely loathed it. But either way, people were watching it.
Yeah, White Noise definitely wasn't that big out here. Like, it was just a horror movie that came and went. I personally really liked it. Mothman Prophecies was kind of the same thing. That was a little strange one.
I didn't like Mothman, but I did like White Noise.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I liked Mothman. I thought it was pretty decent. But I think it was a strange film because Richard Gere, I think, was still a pretty popular actor at the time. So that was really outside of his zone doing a horror film like that.
See, he wasn't over here, and neither really was Michael Keaton. So it was a bit like when Jim Carrey did The Number 23, and they were like, "Oh my god, this completely different actors doing horror."
Right? Yeah. I mean, that was the
fascination.
Yeah, out here it was just like, because there wasn't a whole lot of fanfare for either of those films. I don't think, like, from my memory. So, and I think it was because people out here were just used to seeing those people in different roles, that it was just like, oh, okay, that's weird. And even Number 23 didn't do well out here because of that. And I really love Number 23. So I don't know. It gets shit on a lot by critics and everybody, really, but I thought it was really a really great film. I don't care if there's plot holes or any of that shit. Like, Jim Carrey, I think, was fucking phenomenal in that movie.
Yeah. I always enjoyed Jim Carrey being a little bit, I just enjoy him in general, but I especially enjoy him being a little bit unhinged.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing about that movie is, like, he's got a lot of humanity to him. Like, you get to see this family and this backstory and, like, all these, like, crazy things happening. And then, like, this fantasy version of him. And it's just, he just pulls it off so well. I mean, it's so absurd, like the saxophone playing, like the hardcore noir elements that they really pull into that. And he just does it flawlessly to me. I don't know. It's really, like, there's a few movies that Jim Carrey has done that really allows him to shine as a very, very brilliant actor, not just, rubber face. But yeah, I don't know. But so White Noise with Michael Keaton was in 2005. So that was a few years after this. And I think that's definitely about the time where he kind of just disappeared, from mainstream Hollywood films. But, I did want to bring up White Noise too, because
would have preferred Michael Keaton over Kevin Bacon.
I don't think so. Because it's hard to say, because if I hadn't seen the movie, I probably would have, because I was never, like, a huge Kevin Bacon fan. And I've always really liked Michael Keaton. So if I hadn't seen the film, I'd said, yeah, but seeing Kevin Bacon, the way he plays his character, I really just think that is perfect casting. I look at that and be like, oh, that should have been first pick. So it's he kind of channels the same sort of feel that I get watching, like, Stir of Echoes or something. Even though that character is a little more manic. He's just a very earthy, real kind of person. And I really like that. So I think that, like, having somebody like Michael Keaton would have been the same vein as, like, Sean Penn for me. It's just like, it's too much. There's a big name kind of thing,
Yeah.
If I, like Gary Oldman and things like these people that are, like, big names, but can really pull off character is, the kind of actors I really, like, go more to. And I know that Sean Penn is kind of up there for people in that same vein. It's just not for me. I don't know. I don't know what it is, to be honest with you. I can't tell you. I'm just never really liked him.
I'm going to throw out something here of who would have been good. Then you can go back to your white noise.
Okay.
Gary Sinise. Sinise? I'm not saying his surname right. Yeah, Gary Sinise.
No, I know.
Yeah.
Lieutenant Dan. Sure. I could see that. Yeah. I think he's a little stiff though. Like, I like him.
Really?
Yeah, I do like him. I like everything that he's been in. I think he picks pretty good projects. There's this great sci-fi movie with him and Tony Shalhoub. I can't think of what it's called right now, which I really liked a lot. But I find him as an actor, he's just a little too stiff. I feel like he's just too scared to get out of his comfort zone.
I don't know. Have you seen him in CSI New York when somebody pisses him off? He's mad. He is on a mission. Sean Penn, he'd eat your face. I've seen Mac Taylor when he goes for it.
I didn't even know there was a CSI New York.
Oh my God, it's the best one.
Okay, I'll have to check that out. I was kind of excited about the one that had Scott Bakula in it because I really like Scott Bakula, but I thought it was awful.
Oh yeah, Cyber? No, is it Cyber?
I don't know.
There's not many.
Oh, maybe it was Louisiana or something like.
Don't know. I've lost count.
New Orleans or something. CSI New. I don't know. I have no idea. But I like Scott Bakula a lot. But like, I don't know. It was just awful. I thought he was terrible in it.
I like Ted Danson a lot, and I did not think that he fit very well in CSI.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of strange too. Like I like Ted Danson too, but for certain things, Shawnee worked with Ted Danson in what was it in that movie? Macaulay Culkin was in it. Like something dad. I think Ted Danson plays like a ex-con or something, and Macaulay Culkin's his kid, and I can't think of what it's called, but Shawnee was like a not a stand-in, but like a stand-in double kind of thing. I can't remember what actor. Anyway, so she got to meet him, I guess, or whatever. But I really like Ted Danson more in comedic type stuff. Like he did that that show with Kristen Bell.
The Good Place.
Good Place. Yeah, it's so hilarious.
He is hysterical in that.
Yeah.
He is brilliant in that. Yeah.
Yeah. And then he does that I think it's already been canceled, but the newer one where he's like the mayor or something like that. And he's totally, completely fucking inept. It's so funny.
Oh my God. Spin City with Ted Danson.
Yeah. It's so funny. It's so hilarious, but I think it maybe did 2 seasons or something. I can't remember, or I could be wrong. Maybe it's still on. I don't know. But like, he's really great in those sorts of things, like playing like, you got Cheers and stuff, which is fine because he's like the cool guy and, he's got everything together, but he really shines to me in those like really goofy, sort of inept kind of like roles. So I don't know, but let's see. Oh yeah. Back to White Noise. So I've been watching a lot of the TV show, The Rookie. I don't know if you've seen that or whatever, but I'm a pretty big fan of Nathan Fillion. So I like him a lot. And he was in White Noise Part 2. Which I thought was pretty decent too. So I like both of those films. The Michael Keaton one I thought was pretty cool because I was, it was an interesting movie. And it had Michael Keaton in it. I didn't want to watch Batman, But again, I really think that was a time where he just started kind of disappearing more. And maybe it's because White Noise didn't do well here. I don't know.
Maybe.
I'm not certain. But I personally thought it was interesting. So I don't know. I think I would have preferred Kevin Bacon. In this film. So I think that was a good thing that happened. Sometimes that, that kind of shit just is. Oh, and I'm reading he actually was attached to White Noise in 2003. So.
Oh.
Yeah. So he probably jumped just from Mystic River to White Noise because, Mystic River would have been shot in 2002.
So he went, screw you, Eastwood. I've got somewhere else to be. I don't need your nonsense. And then it didn't work out that well for him.
Yeah. Yeah. It says that it had a surprising box office success, released in the first weekend after New Year's Day. which I guess is usually really terrible. But I don't know. I don't think it was like a huge movie out here though. It did. Total box office was 91 million, which is definitely respectable. That's worldwide though. It only had a $10 million budget, so it actually did really well in terms of money. But that was probably everybody over in the UK.
Quite possibly, just keeping the movie market afloat. But then again, though, when was there was like a little succession, wasn't there? Kind of like psychological thrillers.
Like during that
were
time,
massive. Well, I'm trying to. Do you remember when was 1 Hour Photo released?
I think that's more in the 90s, throughout the 90s, we had like that, because I think that was like the tail end, like going in like 2001 or something like that. Like, let me check it out here. Yeah, 1 Hour Photo.
Because I remember there being sort of like a succession of sort of this particular type of film where it would have been just called a psychological thriller, but they kind of tacked on different ways to describe it.
Yeah,
and it was stuff like Insomnia, 1 Hour Photo, probably this, and a few others, and they were huge.
Yeah, because I mean, I was also
to what they should have been, really. What they should have been, what you would have assumed they would have been. They were huge.
So again, like out here, Insomnia and 1 Hour Photo, I don't think did well. And again, I think it's because Robin Williams, like everybody wanted to see him in comedies, and those films like really fell to the wayside pretty quickly. And I think they're really good.
Yeah. See, maybe it was more DVD sales then. You know, like rentals and DVDs.
It could be, yeah. I'm not sure, because like those
and less cinema.
Yeah, because you'll see like DVD is different, because you'll go in there and you'll see a whole wall of like Robin Williams' face or Al Pacino's face or whatever, and be like, oh, cool, I want to see that. As to where when you see like a trailer for something like super dark and something like that starring Robin Williams, like, what? That's weird. Because they definitely market the home video and the film, the theatrical differently, especially back then. So maybe, it's hard to say. But yeah, it's definitely like, I think through the 90s and then the very, very beginning of the 2000s is where we really got all those serial killer stuff, because it got really saturated with like the, Along Came the Spider and like, Ashley Judd films, and Denzel Washington did several of them, like The Bone Collector.
Yeah, The Bone Collector and that kind of thing.
Yeah. So it was there was quite a bit of it going on, and 90s was really huge for serial killer type stuff. Even like Millennium, TV shows and things like that. And I know Silence of the Lambs was, I think, 89, maybe I got that wrong.
Yeah, but don't forget then they had Red Dragon and Hannibal.
Yeah,
around that time as well.
So like I think that Silence of the Lambs was 91. I think Red Dragon was beginning of 2000s, so 2002, and Hannibal.
And Hannibal was Hannibal before that?
No, Hannibal. Yeah, Hannibal was before Red Dragon. It's 2001, so those came pretty quickly. And then did they do Manhunter? Or Red Dragon? Or no, Hannibal was Manhunter, right? Manhunter was actually the first Silence of the Lambs movie. And that was in 1986. But I think Hannibal was the remake of it. Like I think it was the second book, maybe, or something like that. I can't really remember. But yeah, it was, so it had been made before. It's not a bad movie either. It's interesting.
I like Red Dragon.
Yeah,
I wonder if I just like it because Edward Norton's the lead character in it, and he's trying to do something a bit different to what he'd done between and after, like before and after.
Yeah, I think I really liked Edward Norton in it. I think it was the special effects that kind of just ruined it for me. That's the one with
Ralph Fiennes.
Yeah, but no. That's not what I'm talking about though. Geez, he just passed away recently. I can't think of his name. Where he cuts his head open, eats the brains while he's alive. That's Red Dragon, right? No.
Who cuts who brains open?
Hannibal Lecter cuts what's his name? Maybe that's Hannibal and not Red Dragon.
Yeah, I it's been a long time since I've seen Red Dragon, but it's not massively familiar.
Okay.
I remember him slicing some meat and then feeding it to people in Red Dragon, I think, at the very beginning before
Ray Liotta
realizes that he's Hannibal.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. It's Hannibal is the one I'm thinking of.
Great.
Gary Oldman and Ray Liotta. Ray Liotta gets his head cut open, and yeah. So like the special effects of that like kind of ruined it for me, but I don't know. It's one of those films I think I'd probably go back and rewatch. But you know what I did like? I know we're so far off topic. What I did
we've got on a right old tangent.
Right. Did you check out the TV show Clarice?
No, but I watched the TV show Hannibal.
Yeah, but this is different. Like Hannibal is I don't think it was anywhere near like Clarice. I think it was really, really good.
I didn't watch Clarice, and I didn't mean to watch Hannibal. It was on when I first got Netflix or something. And I was like, okay, murdering people, I'll watch that. And I didn't really know what was going on because it was so surreal. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I need to figure out what's going on. Is this random moose that he finds in the forest real, or do we live in his brain? What's going on? And then by the time I realised, it had ended. And to be honest with you, I'm still none the wiser.
Yeah, I mean, I think it did like 4 seasons or something like that too. But it was fun. It was cool.
I enjoyed what I was watching. I just do not understand a second of it.
Yeah, it was very. I mean, I think it was known at the time that they were using Millennium as an inspiration from it. Even like the guy's visions and things like that.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure that's because Lance has is in an episode or two of it too, and I'm pretty sure that's why they brought him in. He plays a killer in one of them. But it's so surreal and so glossy, at times with the Hannibal character and things like that. Like anything like Brian, I think it's Brian Fuller, right? I can't remember, but like I really don't like that sort of like it's too romanticizing the darkness kind of thing that I don't really care about. Like that sort of stuff isn't supposed to be pretty, and that bothers me. But Clarice, like you check it out. I know you don't really like female led things, but it's really good. And if you liked Silence of the Lambs, it falls right in with it. And they even have the same characters and like everything about it. It's really cool, and you should check it out if you get a chance. Unfortunately, they canceled it.
I'll definitely give it a go.
It did get canceled, so it ends on a bit of a cliffhanger, but it's really good. It's well made. I think it was far better than Hannibal. Anyway, so far off topic, it doesn't even matter anymore. I guess like we're hitting the hour mark. We might as well just do our rating here for Mystic River. It is a super complex, character-driven film that has a lot of moral ambiguity to it, and also a lot of community and social complexities as well. There's a lot going on in this film, and I really think I hesitate to say like, oh, this is Clint Eastwood's best directed film, but I really think
Power is one of his best films.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that's good too. That's one I'd probably have to rewatch, but I really think this might be his best directed film. Like there's very little hiccups in the direction of this movie. But anyway, I digress. So anyway, let's get into our ratings for the night.
Weren't you going to say something about the composer credit?
Oh yes. Okay. So I really enjoyed the music in this film, like about 90% of the time. But every time there was like a scene where the music would swell and get big, it was so out of place to me. Like it's almost like it was happy music, or it was like this like weird sort of like grand thing that just like didn't fit. And if you look at scenes like when he's, breaks into the crime scene and screaming, "Is that my daughter?" and stuff like that, was one of the scenes where the music just like swells and it's like, it feels really out of place. And I noticed that all of the normal music in the film is totally fine, except for when he brings it up into this like big swelling moment. It just feels out of place.
Like a crescendo.
Yeah. He absolutely. Yeah. Where it definitely crescendos the end of the scene. And he does this thing where like the camera pans up and is looking at a tree or whatever it is, you know what I mean? And it's so over the top to me. That was one of the very few things that kind of bugged me about it, but other than that, like, I really think he did a phenomenal job on the music. I had no idea he was a composer.
No.
So that was pretty interesting, but I think that was, the only piece that really bugged me about the music. Yeah. So there we go. That's it. I've said enough bad things.
To the rating. Now we've got that out of your system.
Yes. So what do you think, Carly?
Oh, have I got to go first, have I?
Yeah, why not?
Okay. So I'm a bit dubious with this because my first watch of it didn't really leave a good taste in my mouth because I didn't appreciate it at all, to be fair.
Mm-hmm.
Wrong audience, really. I like the fact that this is one of the few films that I think shows an ounce of clever police investigation. Because I think sometimes you find with these films, the investigation, even though they may spend a lot of time on the actual characters and the detectives that are investigating, the actual investigation itself is like, what? Oh, I found a matchbook. Oh, we must go here. Bang, bang, done. There's not a lot of intelligence that goes into what they're doing. And I thought with particularly Laurence Fishburne's character, who we haven't said how amazing he is, by the way, in everything.
Right. Yeah.
His character is very concise. He's very organized. He's very clear, but he's very fair.
Mm-hmm.
So when you see sometimes Kevin Bacon's character going, calm down. He's like, no, you know him. And you know that we need to ask this. So I'm asking it. And I really, really like that. I actually preferred watching those two investigate it than I did watch the other characters be affected by it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, they could have their own TV show for sure.
Oh, God, yeah. I did think it felt a little bit long because towards the end, I wasn't overly keen on the ending, to be honest with you. It didn't sit quite right with me. It just felt almost like it just ended.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe that's the point of the story.
Well, it is a film noir, so it's like, it's bleak.
Yeah. It's not bleak, though. They're all at carnival, and you've got the wife crying, you've got Kevin Bacon quite happy doing a little gunshot at Sean Penn, and you've got his lunatic wife who just comes across a bit strange after doing that whole speech. Yeah. And to be fair, you've got to help me understand it a little bit more.
Okay.
Because I was just thinking, what?
So let me give you a quick lowdown. So you have the Sean Penn's wife glaring at the woman because it basically is saying like, you killed your husband.
Yeah, it's your fault.
Like, that's your fault. You got Kevin Bacon saying like, I know you're a bad guy and I'm gunning for you. Right. And you've got Sean Penn being like, well, I'm going to do what I got to do. Come for me, whatever. Bro. Yeah. And then you got the wife who's completely, disfranchised. She's like completely like, I've lost my husband. I killed him. It's my fault. All I got left is my son who doesn't even see me in the crowd. Like, I'm alone. All that. So I think every part of that is super bleak. Even it's surrounded by a fair or carnival or whatever.
It's gorgeous carnival or parade or whatever it is. And it's like,
it's crazy.
So I don't know. I mean,
it's life. That's life moves on. It's like they all have their own pieces.
It is just life. And I understand that that's probably the point of the story, but you know what I'm like? I like to have a bit more. And it just one more scene. Like, even if they'd have found Dave or just something. But I did feel by that point it started to drag a tiny bit because I was incredibly invested, and I was like, Lily and Street were walking through the room where I watch in my little living room where I watch my films, I said, move out the way. They were having a conversation with me. I don't even know what they were saying. I'm just like, yeah, whatever. I probably agree to God knows what, because I was so invested in it. And I did feel myself towards the end dropping out and answering questions and being less involved. But overall, I think it is a fantastic film. I think it's mesmerising. I think it's brilliant. I really do. And I don't know if that's the characters or the performance or just everything. I think it really is. And it's really hard to watch as well as an adult. Yeah. So I'm going to give it a 9.
No, nice. All right.
Yeah. I only lose at one point because I felt personally that I disengaged a little towards the end. But other than that, I can't really fault it. I even liked the scene where Sean Penn was fighting the police and screaming in the air. So I've got one up on you.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's, I don't know. Our brains are kind of trained, I think, for a certain length of film. So I totally feel you on that. Like, I get that. Like, there was definitely a part of me at one point in life where I was like, yeah, the longer the better. That's great. And I think that's around the time, like, Lord of the Rings and stuff, was all these movies were coming out longer. And I was like, cool, you're getting your money's worth kind of thing. But now it's like, yeah, I see the value in keeping it a little shorter. Like, it doesn't have to be quite so long. You do start to kind of lose your focus at a certain point. So I totally see that. But for me, like, I think that the flaws that I have that I feel are in the film hit me a little bit more, because when you have something that's so good and then there's a flaw, it stands out so much.
Yeah.
And I think that's my issue with this movie. And I think that's why my rating is a little lower than yours, because when those certain things hit that bother me personally, not, maybe I'm crazy and other people don't see those. Like, it doesn't bother you, the Sean Penn screaming into the camera thing, like it does me. Like, those little things and the crescendo of the music and the little, how I would have switched the editing a little bit towards the end, those little things stick out to me so much amongst the rest of the film that is so well done, that to me is flawless, that it knocks it down. And just because of that, that's the reason why it lost a few points for me. Otherwise, I do think it was probably his best directed film. I think all of the actors in this are phenomenal, even Sean Penn. There's a lot of nuances, I think, that he brings to the table into that character, especially in the beginning of the film, before he finds out his daughter's dead. Once he finds out his father's dead, I think he clicks into this, like, grieving father mode, grieving father, tough guy, kind of thing that, like, isn't as nuanced as the stuff in the beginning of the film. Like, he really plays it. This guy's got a lot going on. He's also got a family. Like, we don't know that he's necessarily a bad guy per se. It looks like he's much tamer than when they were showing him as a kid, that kind of thing. So I think there was a lot more nuance to him in the beginning of that. But anyway, so this one's kind of hard for me because I wanted to rate it like a 10, but I only give it an 8 because of those things for me. Yeah. I know, boo me.
You're going to be Michael Keaton'd by Clint Eastwood if he ever hears this.
Oh, I think that just happened naturally.
I mean, if that happens, that is so going to be in your Twitter bio. Sorry, X bio.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, there it is, folks. Carly's given it a 9 out of 10 gens, and I've given it an 8 out of 10 gens. And I don't know. Tell us what you guys think. Check out Mystic River for the first or the second time, maybe, like both of us, and enjoy your Mystic Shadow drink along with the film. And we will see you next time.
Bye-bye.
He's looking at you, kid.
Thanks for joining us this week on the Speakeasy Noircast. Make sure to visit our website, resurrectionfilms.net, where you can subscribe to the show on iTunes, Stitcher, or any of your favorite podcast apps so you'll never miss a show. While you're at it, if you found value in the show, we'd appreciate a rating on iTunes or if you'd simply tell a friend about the show. That would help us out too. If you like the show, you might want to check out our book, The Dark Side of Acting Up and The Dark Side of Acting Up Volume 2, now available on Amazon. Or you can check out one of our films, also available on Amazon Prime. Be sure to tune in next week for another episode of the Speakeasy Noir Cast.